welcome to Sinister Studies. Join me each episode as I delve into some truly sinister topics and traumatize my family. I'll be joined by one or more teenager, and from time to time, we'll have special guests. Be forewarned, our stories are seriously sinister, so listener discretion is always advised. Nothing outstanding, ridiculous, heinous happened at school today.
I found out that this girl, she's a freshman. She's always wearing skirts. Like those Hot Topic skirts, they're not very long. They only go like here.
Yes.
So, guess what I found out about this girl?
She wears white granny panties.
She wears no panties. She wears nothing under those skirts.
Shame on her parents.
At school?
Yes.
Shame on her parents.
And she's falling. Okay, so you know the tower that people climb and all the.
Oh no.
She went up on the tower and everybody saw.
Oh my god. That's worse than the girl with the mini skirt running down the street showing everybody her granny panties. That's
She was wearing.
Nope. Teach your children better.
Yeah, so she just had
vagina everywhere.
Not vagina.
Not vagina. Penises everywhere. So the twig and berries were out.
And she's always wearing these Crocs.
I'm sorry. Hot Topic mini skirt and Crocs.
Yes, and the Crocs are like pink. They're like an anime. I don't know, but they're like pink, right? And the whole outfit's black, and then these Crocs are just pink. But you know how sometimes when you're wearing Crocs and you're walking on like a smooth floor, and the Crocs just catch the floor?
Yes.
So she's always wearing these Crocs.
Well, there's no treads on the bottom.
She does, on occasion, fall in the hallway. She just eats shit.
I'm really concerned about our youth as a whole. I truly am.
Yeah.
One of the doctors and I were talking about how I had given you permission to knee a pervert in the balls. Should said pervert touch you? He goes, well, that's definitely an allowable offense. I said, yup. I told my child to tell your brother, call me on your way to the office, and I'll tell your dad to come and get you. That will also ensure that this kid will get a second ass beating.
Real.
Yes, perverts everywhere.
So yeah.
And so that was an exciting day. Twigs and berries everywhere. And they're not like attractive things to look at. I'm sorry. They're just not.
Really just an interesting, like, at the beginning of the year, I like noticed everybody just fucking hates this kid, and I'm like, well, surely she didn't actually do anything to deserve it. No, she did. She definitely did.
So part of this is on purpose. For shock value.
I think she's just like that.
An exhibitionist?
No, just weird like that. I don't know.
At the ripe old age of like 13, 14 years old.
And, oh my god.
Okay then.
Yeah.
Wow. Moving on. That was a lot of information. Twigs and berries hanging out all over the place. Sebastian's gonna start some shit.
I'm sorry. This girl, okay, related to the girl in the art class and the girl who keeps
showing her twigs and berries.
Yeah.
Twig, singular, twig and berries. One twig, two berries. By part. Usually.
She wrote the girl in my art class wrote fan fiction of her and Skirt Girl. You
I don't know. Nope.
predict,
Nope. I don't want to know any more about that.
and somehow, in a journal she carries around with her to school, in the school journal, she probably wrote this shit at school.
Well,
And she somehow managed to misspell the word bed. To get that off my chest.
I don't know what to say. Oh boy.
Said she knew it.
Anyway, yes, welcome back to Sinister Studies.
Hi.
Your home for all of the high school tea.
The episodes are just gradually going to become half gossip session, half true crime.
I'm sure there may be some more gossip thrown in here. Today we're going to talk about a high school student
Oh,
that's going to make you really happy that we have ghosts. Because the alternative is far, far worse.
should I be scared? Should I be afraid right now?
So today we're going to talk about the boy in the walls.
In the walls?
In the walls.
Was he living in somebody's walls?
Kind of. Daniel LaPlante was born in May of 1970 and grew up in Townsend, Massachusetts with his mother.
Townsend?
Townsend.
That sounds like a fake town name.
Its name, yes, it truly is Townsend.
It sounds like just like a cartoon that's like, and he lived in Townsville, USA. Like, that doesn't sound real. That sounds goofy as fuck. Anyway.
Well, Townsend, Massachusetts is right kind of in the middle of the state, but towards the top of the state near the New Hampshire border. It's north of Worcester. Worcester? Definitely north of Worcester. You can see 290 here. Worcester. It is almost to the New Hampshire border. It was a small town.
What do you mean was?
I don't know what the population is now. Okay, so regardless.
Oh, yeah.
Kid grows up in Townsend. Unfortunately, by all reports, he was abused by both his father and his stepfather.
Damn.
In every which way. He was abused physically, psychologically, and sexually by both of them. I would venture to guess his mother also was aware of this because you have to really have some blinders on to not notice.
That your son is being abused by two men?
Yeah.
Just both of them?
Yeah.
Girl, I didn't recognize.
Nope.
Okay.
So this obviously led to an extremely volatile and traumatic childhood for Daniel. He didn't have very many friends. Most kids found him creepy and strange, many going as far as to give him really wide berth whenever they were near him. This was exacerbated by his really shitty attitude and the fact that he was frequently greasy, smelled, and wore dirty clothes. My thought on that, part of it's probably knowing what I know about my sister, is that probably is a defense mechanism. Because if you're really disgusting, your abuser is not going to want to diddle you. Or that's your train of thought when you're a child. You know what I mean? You're going to do anything you can to not be abused. And that is my thought in the situation.
Yeah,
that he was he was trying to safeguard himself.
Clearly, he wasn't being taken care of.
No, absolutely not.
Clearly, none of his parents cared enough to teach him, like, proper hygiene or how to take care of himself. Clearly, none of them cared enough.
They didn't care enough to make sure he had proper hygiene. He maybe knew, but again, it is a safeguarding mechanism for children who are being abused. He was rarely, if ever, in a social situation outside of school. Because of all of this going on, his mother was confronted by school personnel who told her he needed to get some help.
Yeah.
So, with the school's urging, she finally felt that he should probably get some help and sent him to speak to a psychiatrist. I think she probably chose the cheapest psychiatrist she could possibly find because this psychiatrist was a piece of shit also and joined in on the abuse of this poor child.
Oh.
So now this is compounding his feelings of isolation.
Well, yeah, because it's even the person who was supposed to help you
Is not at
is
all.
doing the same damn thing everybody else is.
Yes. He saw this psychiatrist for about a year. During this time, he was diagnosed with dyslexia and ADHD, which quite obviously also had an effect on his schoolwork, among all of the other stuff he had going on. And he was doing pretty poorly across the board. And I'm pretty sure I know why I went with this case. Teenage Daniel, with
Oh.
no friends and shitty adults in his life, turned to breaking and entering. He often broke into people's homes just to move things around in an attempt to fuck with their heads. He enjoyed making people feel like they were going crazy, often leaving things from around their homes in completely bizarre places. He would go so far as to pour himself a drink half the glass, leave it on the clean kitchen counter.
I mean, there are more destructive things he could be doing, but still.
Yeah, he was really having fun messing with these people. Have you ever heard of the term frogging?
I don't really remember what it means. But yeah.
It's basically when you break into somebody's house and live there with the occupants, with the family unaware that you're in the home for an extended period of time.
Yeah. Okay.
It's actually a really creepy movie about that. But
Do you think anybody could be living in this house and we
with
wouldn't
this
know?
bitch, no.
Oh yeah, she barked
She
at
doesn't like
fucking
people walking by. Never mind.
walking by on the opposite side of the street on the other side of the road.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Not with.
She doesn't like birds in the sky that are like 100 feet in the air.
Pippi, protect us.
Yeah, no, you're right. We'd know.
We know. So by 1986, Daniel was ready to take it up a notch. After breaking in to a family's home of a father and two girls, one of them was a 15-year-old girl, he saw the pictures of these girls and became completely enamored with the 15-year-old. We're going to call her Jane. There's the sources say two different names. One name is more prevalent than the other, but I'm sure she really doesn't want her name connected with this in any way.
And how old was he exactly at this point?
16.
So at least he's not like
I mean, it's not in a
17, 18. Like that in itself isn't weird, but
how he found the love of
everything
his
else
life.
here.
Yes, is very, very, very weird. So he breaks into this family home, sees Jane's picture on the wall, becomes completely obsessed with her. So he keeps going back to their house. Somehow he was able to get a hold of their phone number and he gave Jane a call. He told her that he'd gotten her telephone number from a friend. They spoke on the phone frequently, and eventually she agreed to go on a date with Daniel. She thought he was a blonde, buff athlete. This is what he told her.
Why would he tell her that and then proceed to ask her out on a date?
I don't know what he was expecting in this scenario.
Yeah, no, really. What?
So Daniel shows up at her house, and according to like the pictures, look like he's tall. I didn't get his exact measurements, but he's taller than a lot of the adults in the pictures with him. Um, he does have greasy, dark colored hair, really weird haircut, acne. He is the one who knocks on her door for this date. Trying to show some
Um,
compassion, she agrees to go out on the date with him.
after that, after that,
She really quickly decided she needed to come up with a reason to leave.
yeah, I think anybody would. Wait, what's his name again?
Daniel.
What?
He seemed like he had like a terrible aura about him. He was really off-putting. She had been having a tough time lately, so I think she was trying to like feeling like she should at least do this kindness for him, but it was too much. It was too much.
Yeah. Wait, what was his last name?
LaPlante. The reason for Jane's tough time is that her mother had recently died.
Oh.
So she was living with her father and younger sister in this house. And sometime after this horrific date that she had been on, she and her sister decided to break out the Ouija board and try to contact their mother.
Did they just have one laying around or
I would assume so. I don't see a 15-year-old running down to the corner store to like Benny's. Can you imagine? Because she would have had to run to Benny's at that time. There were Benny's out there. I don't know if there were, but like to go buy a Ouija board, they probably had one. A lot of people used to have Ouija boards in their house until they realized they were a terrible idea.
what did people just for funsies or like
Yeah, it, you can still buy a Ouija board in the toy section.
in the toy section?
It's in the toy section where all the rest of the board games are, like next to Monopoly. Life Ouija board.
Uno.
At one point, when they were trying to make contact with their mother, they were asking questions. And all of a sudden, it seemed like their mother was responding back by way of tapping, which is not unusual to hear when people are talking about Ouija boards. And there's only so many ways a voiceless spirit can communicate.
Yeah.
Tapping would be one of them. And they were really, really excited about it because their mom was talking to them.
Yeah.
Like, which is really sad. And they really didn't say much to their father about it until things started moving around the house. Their food would go missing if they put a sandwich down on the counter and walked out of the room. Things would show up in weird places or just go missing altogether. And then one night, when they were home alone, the sisters heard tapping coming from their basement. So Jane, the ever protective big sister, grabbed a kitchen knife and went downstairs to investigate. Written on the wall, she found, "I'm in your room, come find me." And it looked like it was written in blood.
Uh,
So can you imagine walking down to the basement and seeing that? Like you'd immediately think that was blood. Doesn't matter because like you're in a state of panic. And they're home alone. Yeah, these two were home all by themselves.
oh.
It was yeah, it was just
stopping. I'm disgusted.
it was just too much for the sisters, so they ran the fuck out the house, went over to their neighbor's house, who tried to calm them down and called their father at his work. His father, their father ended up coming home and immediately ran into that house to investigate, only to discover that the words were written in ketchup.
Okay, so at least there's that.
So their
Doesn't
father,
make the contents any
it
less
does not.
perturbing, but
He thought that they were either messing with each other or acting out due to the trauma of losing their mother at such young ages. And he was really annoyed. Either way, he was annoyed with them. It was one thing to knock on the walls, it was a completely other thing to write really bizarre, unsettling shit on the walls in ketchup. And after voicing his displeasure, things did settle down for a little bit, only for it to ramp up again a few weeks later. Again, it started with the tapping, but this time it was coming from the direction of Jane's bedroom. She again grabbed a kitchen knife and went up to see what the issue was this time. What she found was another ketchup message. It said, "I'm back. Come find me."
ew. Also, he's gonna use all their ketchup.
It's very wasteful. Very wasteful.
They could have eaten that.
I bet they're never going to buy ketchup again after this. And with that message, the girls were out. They ran straight back to their neighbor's house, banged on their door. He let them in again called their father. Their father came home to address this new situation with his children. This time, when he entered the house, he found a new message on the wall that hadn't been there when the girls had
Oh
went
hell
out.
no.
It's just said, again in ketchup, "Marry me."
Ew! I'm sorry. That's a 15-year-old. I don't care if he was also like in that age range. First of all, nothing's that serious at that age.
No. No.
Marry me. You're 16, my guy.
He doesn't have any social interactions. Like, this is the extent of his socialization. It's really, really stunned their father because why in the hell would a teenage girl do this? And while still thinking that thought, he reportedly turned around to find Daniel wearing his dead wife's dress, a full face of Joker-esque makeup, and a blonde wig. Some reports even say that Daniel had gone so far as to wear the dead woman's wedding dress.
That's just so. Like, I don't care. Like, like, obviously he's a fucked up person, but like, going so far as to like desecrate the memory of their recently deceased mother and wife.
Yeah.
Like, are you actually so fucking for real?
Yeah. It's yeah, this is pretty fucked up, I'm not gonna lie. A struggle ensued between the father and Daniel. Daniel may or may not have knocked the father out, but either way, the father was knocked down. So when the father gets up, he goes back over to the neighbor's house and immediately calls the police. Because now he realizes that his daughters aren't shitheads.
Oh my god. Crazy.
The family then went to stay at a hotel. After the police did search the home and didn't really find anything other than the ketchup messages. So after a few days, the father returned to the home to check on it, see what was going on, maybe go back, only to see a man standing in one of his upstairs windows from his driveway.
I'm sorry. No, that's terrible. Because I'm just imagining walking up our driveway, looking up, maybe expecting, like, noticing out of the corner of my eye the curtains, like, moved a little bit, looking up, expecting to see Piper, and seeing a whole ass, like, guy
Yep.
in the window.
A whole ass guy just standing there looking out the window at him. I'm like, what are you going to do about it?
I'd actually throw a rock at the window and then run far, far away.
Oh my God. Police were again called and they again searched the home. When they went into the house, they found a knife pinning a family picture to the wall, and on it was written in marker this time, not ketchup,
Okay.
"I'm still here, come find me."
This is not how you get the girl.
No, no, it's not. No, it's not. On another wall, they found another picture, also pinned to the wall with a knife, with the message, "I'm going to kill you all."
Interesting.
So, upon a
Okay.
extremely thorough search this time, moving furniture around and everything, they ended up finding a tiny crawl space which had been easily overlooked because it was behind some things. They'd found where their suspect had been hiding. The crawl space opened into another larger area in which they found trash, food wrappers, beer cans, and a sleeping bag.
Classy.
There were also various items belonging to the family. Being a gross boy that he is, I don't even want to know what I can't. Nope. Mm-mm.
Oh, you
I
don't
can
know
imagine.
the items?
I don't know what the items were, but I can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were also reportedly little peepholes all around the house that Daniel had been using to watch the family. So, at 16 years old, Daniel was arrested and sent to juvie. He was there for 10 months, and one birthday later, and in October 1987, Daniel was charged as an adult.
Good. Good.
And because he was being charged as an adult, he could now be bailed out.
Oh.
And his mother helped him post bail because she's clearly Mother of the Year. His charges included kidnapping, armed assault, breaking and entering, and larceny. Larceny being the theft of personal property.
Yeah.
But he was out on bail with no friends and nothing to do. So he started breaking and entering again. In one home that he broke into, he was able to obtain 2 handguns.
Oh. They didn't keep that shit looked down at all? Was that not
The
common
80s were a wild
practice?
time.
Okay.
I mean, we didn't have guns in the house because you know how your grandparents felt about those. Your grandfather didn't want me to carry a toy 6-shooter. My very last Halloween that I dressed up as a cowgirl.
And he wouldn't let you.
He didn't want me to. I didn't say that I didn't do it.
You know what? Fair. I mean, you're dressing as a cowgirl. You're not gonna.
You
have
need a
little-
6-shooter.
Yeah.
We also played poker most of the night on somebody's lawn, but it was my last Halloween out. We did get some candy though.
How old are you?
I think I was 15.
A lot more eventful than what did I do? Nothing really, actually. I think I like looked out the window or something. Something
Oh
like-
no. And then on November 16th, 1987, just weeks after being released on bail, Daniel broke into the Gustafson home, which was less than a mile from his family's home. He was able to steal a cordless phone and a cable box out of the house.
Oh hell no.
The cordless phone was like a really high-end item back then.
Yeah,
Like, not a lot of people have them.
I could
Most
have.
of us had the phones with the big long cords on them.
Oh,
I know.
you
It's-
losers. Losers with your corded phones. Ugh. Couldn't be me.
He then proceeded to loot the neighborhood just around the corner from his own home for
Smart.
about 2 weeks.
Oh, he's like stealing now.
Yeah, see, he looted for about 2 weeks, and he was seemingly unchallenged. Either people weren't calling the cops, or the cops weren't taking it seriously, or the items that he's taking are not worth enough for them to get involved. But they should have known that if they just let a criminal out of jail.
That lived right around the corner in the area.
So he broke into the Gustafson Gustafson and we're at that time of day, Gustafson home a second time. The family that lived there was 34-year-old Andrew, his 33-year-old pregnant wife Priscilla,
Oh hell no.
and their two children, 7-year-old Abigail and 5-year-old William. Priscilla and William arrived home. Priscilla was a preschool teacher. She probably brought William to work with her, being 5 and all. So they arrived home, and Daniel was in the house. He said that this would normally be the point where he would have ducked out,
Naturally.
but today he decided to mix it up a bit. He surprised Priscilla and William. He locked William in a closet
Oh.
and tied the visibly pregnant Priscilla to the bed, where he raped her before shooting her in the head twice with his stolen gun.
I'm gonna shoot myself in the head twice hearing this. This actually makes me want to die.
It's awful. It's completely awful. Like, I don't, it gets worse. I'm just.
Even Pippa, look
It
at
gets
her.
worse.
She's trying so hard to
She
make me
is. She's
feel
sad.
better. She's upset about this too.
This piece of shit then took William into the bathroom, where he drowned him in the bathtub. All of this took much more time than he thought it would, and by the time he had finished, Abigail had arrived home from school. So, with not many options that he was willing to consider at least, he snatched Abigail up and drowned her in the family's downstairs bathroom. Later that evening, Andrew arrived home and quickly found the body of his wife in their bedroom, face down and covered in blood. He was really afraid of what else he was going to find in the house, so he ran from the house and called the police. When the police searched the home, they found William and Abigail in the two bathrooms. They also found .22 caliber casings and shoe prints in the bedroom. Given his questionable history, Daniel was quite obviously on the short list of suspects for the crime.
Also because he lived so close.
In fact, the police brought canines to the scene, where they followed the scent from the Gustafson home directly to Daniel's doorstep.
Damn.
When interviewed the day after the murders, he claimed that he had been at his niece's birthday party. When they returned to interview him a second time, Daniel took off into the woods and an APB was issued. He then carjacked a woman at gunpoint and had her drive him around town. The woman was able to escape and called the police. There were a number of other sightings of Daniel in the area, and he was eventually arrested without incident, even though it could have gone really sideways because he still had a gun in his waistband. They found him hiding in a dumpster. Police said that he laughed the whole time they were arresting him.
Ugh. So annoying. Like, if you're gonna be a fucking shitty human being, at least shut the fuck up.
Right. Daniel pled not guilty to the 3 murders.
Ugh.
The prosecution had a pretty ironclad case, or as close as you can possibly get in this scenario. Not only did they have about 50 witnesses,
50. Goddamn.
because all these people had seen him out and about.
I'm just walking
he was-
to and
this
from
was a-
every single fucking day.
like,
going out, stealing people's shit.
They also had a ton of evidence. They found a bullet casing in his home, which matched the casings found at the Gustafson home. His stepfather actually found the murder weapon hidden in a junk car on their property. His Converse sneakers matched the footprints found at the scene. One of the socks that they found at his home had fibers from the Gustafson home, and they found the cordless phone and were able to match a fingerprint on it to Daniel. His blood type was matched with that of a sample removed from the scene of the crime, which also showed his blood and the blood type found at the scene were non-secretors, which would be and their genetics when their genetics prevent them from secreting blood type antigens into their fluids. So their blood type doesn't carry over into things like sweat and tears and other fluids.
Just my blood type? Is that in my tears? What is my blood type?
It's got to be O, because your father and I both have O.
Oh. Oh.
Oh, the time. Yes, Piper, can I help you? You would like to hear the end of this horrible story? Well, I'm getting there, ma'am.
She's like, I want to go to bed.
Me too, baby. Me too. By the time the trial began in 1988, Daniel was 18. He sat in court with an extremely punchable face. He clearly showed no remorse, and he smirked the whole time.
Sorry.
The jury, understandably, found him extremely unsympathetic. His lawyer tried to pin the crimes on his brothers and his stepfather, but all of them had an alibi for the day of the murders. They then tried to elicit sympathy and brought out all of his childhood trauma to light in court. Obviously, there are a lot of people that get abused every day, and most of them don't do heinous shit like this.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be a special type of person to suffer abuse like that and then to turn around and do it to somebody else. I'm not sympathetic to people who abuse children. I am not Piper. You shall not be abused.
Pippa. She thinks she's being abused because we're not constantly petting her 24/7.
I know, it's
and
an
sometimes
illness.
we leave you home alone. On occasion, not even for that long, but sometimes it happens. And isn't that just terrible?
The jury was not swayed by the defense's arguments, and after only 5 hours of deliberation, they found Daniel guilty. He received 3 life sentences to be conserved consecutively. And he continued to be a piece of shit. Daniel appealed his conviction on the belief that the request of a warrant should not have been granted for the original search of his home.
Why not? What the fuck?
His appeal was denied, and he ended up requesting segregation from the general population because he was receiving death threats by other inmates.
I'd be giving him death threats too.
Child killers are not popular in prison.
Yeah. Because that's just like a new kind of evil.
Yeah. And then he killed a pregnant woman on top of that. He was going to get shanked. Maybe he should have gotten shanked. He probably did get shanked a couple times. Because he had requested the segregation, this obviously greatly impacted his freedom in the prison. Therefore, he brought a suit against the prison for not allowing him to access the prison library.
Because there's people in there
who will shank him. And he actually won.
Ugh.
He was awarded $450 for his pain and suffering.
Oh, $450.
For something he chose to do himself.
Rose, can you isolate me, pretty please? And then bitched when he was isolated.
Yes, he would later make additional claims that the prison was not allowing him to practice his faith. You see, he had become Wiccan,
Oh.
and they would not concede to his demands of ritual oils, which obviously are not allowed in jail.
Yeah, also, you don't need ritual. You don't need that shit to practice.
He's just so full of shit.
I know. He's like,
Like, he's just so full of shit.
also, no, I'm not gonna say that.
And on top of the ritual oils not being allowed, neither was the porn that they happened to find on his person, which he claims somebody sent him, definitely completely unsolicited.
Oh, and then he kept it,
He kept it.
obviously.
And then in 2017, after being in prison for 30 years, Daniel was handed another reason to appeal.
Oh hell no! Oh hell no!
You see, the Supreme Court had ruled that juveniles should never receive life without the possibility of parole,
Okay, well,
which 3 consecutive life sentences does equal life without parole. He was hoping that they would change his sentences to make it so they would be conserved concurrently instead of consecutively, which would have conveniently made him eligible for parole in 2017 instead of 2032. He would make a statement in court. I know, it's bad, Piper. It's not as bad as Logan Paul's. With great power comes great responsibility, but it's pretty bad. Did you just burp? He said, I do not have the words to fully express my profound sorrow, but I am
boo-hoo.
truly sorry for the harm that I've caused. From the
Oh.
very essence of who I am, from the depths of my soul, I am sorry.
That.
The judge was not moved. His
Yeah, 'cause
statement,
that's a notes app apology, bro.
his statement was definitely rehearsed, and
He's like, oh, I'm so sorry, and I feel so bad, and I'm
you sound much more emotional than he did
the
in court.
consequences of my.
He delivered his statement deadpan.
He's just like, I'm so sorry for the harm that I've caused. My
He
soul, I feel bad.
would not make eye
Oopsie
contact
daisy.
with anybody. The judge made her own statement. I know.
She's
saying,
so distressed. Me too, Pippa.
This case does not involve a single act that resulted in 3 deaths. Mr. LaPlante committed 3 distinct and brutal murders. He killed a 33-year-old pregnant mother and her 5 and 7-year-old children. He left a family and community devastated. The court finds that the maximum penalty is warranted.
Which it is, so. She's real for that.
Did not feel that he had been rehabilitated in the least. Later, in 2019, the Supreme Court ruled that juveniles sentenced to life sentences could ask for parole after serving 30 years. Daniel tried his luck again, and the Massachusetts Supreme Court upheld his sentence for a 3rd time. Daniel is still serving out his life sentence in a Massachusetts penitentiary.
I mean, I'm glad he's still in jail, but I wish he wasn't still with us.
But think about it this way. He's eligible for parole.
You deadass.
It's 2032.
And how old is he?
So in 8 years, he's eligible for parole.
And how old is he?
54-ish.
So he may still be alive.
Yes. Unless somebody shanks a bitch.
Which I'm not saying you should do it. I'm not encouraging. I'm not condoning any acts of
Never
violence.
condone acts of violence.
However, it would be really funny.
We're so going to hell.
No, I don't condone murder.
I don't think that
Why?
they will grant him parole when he is eligible for parole because of the fact that he raped and killed a pregnant woman and drowned her 2 children. And this is the reason why there are far worse things than ghosts that could be in your house. I can't. Just the thought of a person being in the house, in the walls for that matter. Most of our walls, given the age of our house, is our horsehair. So if somebody were in the walls, we would hear them very, very easily and they'd probably bust through.
Yeah, the walls are very easy to bust through.
Like that little hole we have in the dining room from when your grandfather smashed the chair into the wall.
Yeah. From the divot in my wall from when I fell into it.
I will find something less traumatic for next week.
Ugh. If truly, oh my god, what's her face? That bitch, that cunt.
Lori Vallow?
Yes, Lori Vallow. I don't know. At least it's not going to be something as traumatic as a Lori Vallow.
No, it will not be.
We can guarantee you guys that now. Is that it will not be as soul crushing and draining and horrific as Lori Vallow.
In an small update on the case, Charles Vallow's children took the stand today.
Today. Uh-huh.
Well, it does say that her daughter did testify that Tammy Daybell was actually pretty in shape, had been training for a road race, was taking Zumba. They actively
taking Zumba.
Which I will never fucking take again.
Why?
And
What's the Zumba backstory?
I tried. I gave it a shot. I tried it. I tried 4 classes. It's not going to happen for many reasons. 1, they're really fucking peppy people. Like, really fucking peppy. Like, they are rah-rah cheerleader types. Yours truly was a cheerleader, but not that kind of cheerleader. Also, the class I took was literally an hour solid.
That's too much.
And there's all sorts of weird shit that they're doing. So no, I'm all set. Nope, I tried it. I'm good. She and her mother were constantly in a competition to see who would have the most steps at the end of the day on their Fitbit, so they weren't, inactive. They asked her if they knew about any animals buried in a pet cemetery, and she said there was a lot of cats. Like, what the fuck? Well, this should have just nailed it right into Chad Daybell's coffin. Chad Daybell doesn't like dogs.
Damn.
He doesn't like dogs.
Like, I get not wanting to have a dog because I don't want to have a dog. I don't think I could have a dog independently. But Pippa, I love you. I do like dogs. I'm just not strong enough to handle a bitch barking like you do. Yap, 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 yap. All the time.
Turns out Chad was telling his daughter that Tammy was anemic, and surprise, surprise, when they reviewed her medical records, she was not anemic.
Oh, that's okay. Interesting.
We're on day 26 of this nonsense.
Ugh. Can they just give him the death sentence already?
I know. Like, you killed babies. 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 We don't kill babies. We're very much against killing babies.
I think everybody should be.
I would hope that everybody would be, but
Clearly
I have no
not.
sympathy for a baby killer. And on that note, and because Piper's giving me a dirty look, we're going to wrap it up. We are, as always, available on all sorts of podcast platforms.
Yeah.
Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube Music.
Just YouTube.
Pandora, we're on Pandora too now. And iHeartMusic.
in Stitcher, whatever the fuck that is.
Stitcher. Yes, Stitcher. Yeah, so you can follow us, rate us. You can comment. I'm not necessarily gonna answer, but feel free to comment.
You're not supposed to answer. Not necessarily.
Don't worry, I won't.
um,
And you can reach us at sinisterstudiespod@gmail.com
yeah, do that.
and Instagram and Facebook.
Sinister Studies pod.
Sinister Studies Pod. Yes.
I'm trying to. It's
We
late.
are
I'm
getting
tired.
late. We're getting a little punchy.
I'm losing it here. So I'm living in your walls. Adios.